I am so fed up. Fed up with a lot of things. It's it's crazy. Bear with me here because this is gonna be kind of a rambling rant. It's insane. I'm just fed up. I don't know if you feel this way too, but I am. I'm fed up with a lot of things, mainly when it comes to human behavior, unconscious behavior in particular. It's normally I wouldn't complain. I'm not much of a big complainer, but after a lifetime of experiencing it over and over and over again, it just becomes very disappointing. You look for something different, and and then you come to find out it's the same. It's the same unconscious behavior. I can be self-aware of my own unconscious behavior and at least be honest with other people about it. And I'm not afraid to get it out and look at it. If somebody points something out within me, I would want them to point it out instead of run and make fun of it or gossip or whatever. I'd rather go and tell that person directly how I feel. But because I don't know how they're going to react, maybe I don't tell them directly how I feel. But the reason why I'm fed up with this is because people won't tell me exactly how they feel. Or at least sometimes I experience this. Anytime I end up in a new situation, a new group of people, a new dynamic, or whatever, I don't understand why a lot of people seem so afraid of unconscious stuff, which is just darkness. It's just like being afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of the dark. I don't care. I accept it and forgive it no matter how dark it gets. And then when you can forgive it, then you can do something about it. But if you don't forgive it and you reject it, it gets worse. And it festers and turns into this whole big mess. And I'm just naturally the type of person who tries to be very self-aware and extremely honest. And because I'm extremely honest, and I'm not afraid of just saying how things are for me and for whatever I'm perceiving, or just speaking my thoughts out loud, I become too honest, and it's either really polarizing or just makes people feel, I don't know what other people's experience of me is, but when you're trying to just be honest and be present and aware and just be there as a human, just be accepting, and you want to have a deep, meaningful relation or connection or whatever. You wanna have that, and then you try to show up as that, and then you get rejected for it because people just don't want to look at it. It's disappointing, and it makes me fed up trying over again with new people, new places, new things. It's part of the reason why I chose to like pretty much leave everything behind and start a whole new situation to see something different. But then you get disappointed because then it becomes the same thing again. And it's like, how can I change? I don't want to trigger people into looking at their own shadow. It's just because I've been able to do that for myself that then it's like, well, your very presence becomes a problem, you know? And you get so easily misunderstood. It's either people are really obsessed with you and they freaking love you, like, or they absolutely hate you. They don't want to have anything to do with you, and they want to try to project things onto you as far as like the fears. And I want to say this too. I'm also fed up with all of the buzzwords that we like to use on social media, and we often use them in the wrong context. And this projection word is one of them. The other one is narcissism. Everybody's a fucking narcissist nowadays, right? And it's always the other person's fault. Never the person who's speaking, you know? The person who's speaking, we can all be in victim mindsets and be like, oh, this person did that to me, but it's easy to say that and not look at your own behavior and your own mistakes. And the thing is, I want to grow and I want people to hold me accountable for my behavior so that way I can know what I need to work on in order to grow. And I've spent so much time growing on my own, trying to do my own stuff, that it's like, well, there's nowhere left for me to grow on my own. I have to relate to other people in order for them to reflect back things to me that I need to work on within myself, or something that I might be inspired to be more like, or maybe shine a light on my own darkness. You know, it's supposed to, like, when you relate to other people, it's supposed to be done in that way. That's how we learn about ourselves, is through relationships with other people. But every time I try to bring it to somebody else, I get rejected. Not every time. I mean, it's starting to change. But it seems like oftentimes I would bring it to other people and they would reject it instantly and then misunderstand me, and then whatever it is they're scared of, you know? When genuinely I'm just like an honest, self-aware, nice person that really wants to do the best for humanity, and just trying to unravel all these toxic situations we find ourselves in. And it all comes down to your mindset and how you're looking at the situation. If you have a growth mindset, you're not going to take things personally. You're not going to be making decisions based off of fear. And you're not going to be projecting those fears onto other people when they might not even be that scary person, you know? It's just hard to explain all that nuance. But somebody said to me once that, you know, because I was able to show them some interesting things, or just be a presence in their life, and then when I'm gone, they're like, oh, now I get it. All that stuff I didn't understand, now I understand when it's gone. Like, what was so valuable about it? And the revelation is that, you know, we're both calling each other narcissists. You're the narcissist. No, you are. No, you are. And then, but the realization was, hey, actually every human is a narcissist. That's what the ego is. Your ego is individuality. It's you, your sense of, this is who I am, separate from everybody else. So of course you're going to be thinking about yourself because you're egocentric every human has an ego, so every human has tendencies where they have to look out for themselves. It's only natural for you to want to survive or thrive or do well for yourself, because that's a survival thing. And if we think about the lowest form of consciousness, it is survival, you know? And so you're going to do whatever it takes to survive. And so all of these fears and stuff, it's all about trying to protect yourself. And so being a victim means you are still in survival consciousness, which is it's very low, as well as like trying to earn your existence. You shouldn't actually have to earn your existence, because that's still survival consciousness. So I'm just ranting and rambling, but I'm just fed up with this behavior because I do not occupy or resonate or try to live at that place. But anytime I try to relate to other people on a higher level, it goes immediately back to the lowest common denominator of survival consciousness, when I am more like in a heart-centered, free, spirited, pure state of being most of the time. I've stayed there my whole entire life. I didn't participate in society for a long time or have relationships with people because I was fed up with this behavior, and I didn't want to drop down to a lower level in order to have people in my life. And so unfortunately, I just didn't have people in my life, and I didn't participate in society, or I would do the very bare minimum in order to stay out of it, because I want to stay in my high vibe place where everything is nice and nice, and not being in survival, and not being in fear, but being in love and being, just that's my natural state. And then when I come and I'm like, okay, well, it's not that I'm tired of being alone. It's that I really can't grow any further unless I relate to other people. So therefore I look to other people to try to grow some more. And then next thing you know, well, I'm disappointed again, because I knew what was going to happen. It was going to go back to the lowest common denominator as far as the resonance goes. Not that being in a higher state is any better or worse. It's just relative along the path, Some people are, hiking up the mountain, and you're like already, your pace is faster and you're already at the last third, when people are really slow and they're already on the first third. Or it's oftentimes I equate the analogy to like, I equate it to basically being in some type of college freaking classroom on physics or some shit, and then having to go all the way back to like third grade and try to relate to people. So that's why I'm saying I'm fed up, because it becomes out in unconscious behavior. I get projected on, and then everybody's a victim and a narcissist, and the only way to relate to people is if I also do the same and go to that level and drop down to a lower level. And it's been hard for me to actually stay in a high vibration or express that and share that with people, because it's so triggering. It's kind of like a paradox. The more I do it, the more it stirs up. The more it stirs up, the more of a problem it becomes for me and everybody else, and it gets uncomfortable. But I need to do it in order to get people to come to the higher understanding. But if I don't do it, well, it just stays. And then if I go down, well, it just gets worse, and it just spirals downward. But then if I don't participate, well, it still stays anyway. So it's like I think actually it's not really much of a paradox. The only way to know is if I stay in it and stir the shit up and let it settle and let people figure out their own junk. I don't have a problem being who I am and just being who I am naturally. And it's not my problem that people misunderstand that. There's no, I don't have to deal with that. That's your problem. But I'm fed up with it. And also, I'm fed up with people not telling me the truth and being honest about their feelings. If you think I'm something, then tell me. If you don't like my behavior, then tell me. How am I going to grow if you don't tell me? If we don't have an open, honest communication conversation about things that are uncomfortable, well, they're just going to stay uncomfortable and nothing's going to change. And then you'll get the same pattern over and over again with every single relationship that you ever have. Because you run away and you say, I'm the victim. This person did this to me. I didn't have anything to contribute to that at all because I'm not a narcissist. I'm a perfect human being. That is bullshit. And I'm not going to tell myself that story. I just sometimes put on a show and put on an act to say, this is who I am. This is who I am. I like to often play a character to see who people really are going to be, if they're going to stay at that or if they're going to go up. Because if they're going to go up, then I'll be like, all right, you got it. Finally, you got it. But then oftentimes, if they're not going to go up, then I'll be like, and then I'll go up, and then they'll be like, damn it. I fucked up. And then you get to learn who Achilles really is behind it. You can use your unconscious behaviors to flip back and forth between black and white and then show people the contrast. Because contrast is what teaches you, you know. Actually, contrast is your ability to see clearly. Because if a room is full of light and it's only light and there's no shadows, there's no contrasting, you know, pigment there, you're only gonna see, you can't see shit. But because there's a balance between the shadow and the light, you can actually see what's happening. So if I just try to stay in perfection all the time, I'm not gonna see myself clearly. If I just stay in darkness all the time, I'm not going to see myself clearly either. It's the equal balance between the two that actually gets me to say, hey, there's this and there's that. I mean, it's good and bad. All the way around. So therefore, I can fucking see myself and other people honestly. And not with a projection or a fear, or a lens, or some type of, not subjectively, but objectively, objective truth, you know? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm fed up with it because I don't know what to do or how to approach it. I don't know how to approach this stuff. And I think I found the answer by rambling and processing out loud, which is what I do. I process this information out loud in order to get a better understanding of what the fuck I'm saying. And I want to share it with other people because I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. It may seem like a ranting, rambling rant that doesn't make sense in any, you know, but if you can follow what I'm saying, you understand, like, holy shit. Yeah, that's how it is. And anyway, it's just kind of annoying, a little bit disappointing, and it's kind of like saying, it's like waiting for everybody else to grow up when I thought that. And the sad part is that I oftentimes think that I assume that people already understand what I understand, but then the more I learn about people, the more I realize, oh, they actually don't know shit. I don't know shit. I don't know anything. I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm saying it's relative to how much work I've tried to do on myself, as well as with whatever relationships show up in my life, to be radically self-honest and self-aware in order to do that work and then grow from it and change. And because of those results, it really makes a dent in other people. And then I'm like, oh, I can see how much you haven't been working on this stuff. And a lot of people like to say or point the finger of stay in victim mindset. Another thing about victim mindset is that this plays out on a large scale in groups of people. And so people tend to congregate into groups where they resonate with the same feeling or the victim mindset. And then it becomes a dominant narrative in their like identity and the way that they see themselves. So it doesn't matter, like, for instance, black and white people or racism. We can say that they did this to me, it's them, they're the problem. Could be a relationship between a man and a woman. Men and women, black and white. Who's the victim? And who's the perpetrator? Are we going to remain in a victim-perpetrator mindset? Or are we going to remain in a growth? What would be the opposite? So, what would be the opposite of that? If we're not going to be looking at all of these problems in the world or looking at ourselves, we're oftentimes easy to like looking outside saying that the other thing is the problem. And then that's what creates this fight and this distance and this disconnection and this divisiveness. It all starts in the mind, originates in the mind and the way you see it. And then that's how you treat other people. Then it becomes a behavior. It's a learned behavior. Then it's a group of people that feel that way. And then that group of people versus this group of people that I feel the other way. You see what I mean? There's no balance there. So it's easy to get involved with any group of people who make you feel validated for your ideas or your unconscious repressed feelings that you haven't dealt with. Not telling you that you feel this way, but I'm saying it's kind of controversial. Like, I mean, because everybody wants to get so heated, or they do get heated by these victim things. It's always they did this to me. You know, I'm partly Native American. I could sit here and say they did this to me, but it's all just humans doing human shit to each other. It's all just a bunch of narcissists doing a bunch of narcissist things because we all have an ego. Of course we're going to look out for ourselves and the ones that are on our team, because that's how social dynamics work. It all comes back to survival consciousness. If you don't have to earn your right to exist and you're already valuable and worthy of existing, you don't have to fight anybody to be here. And in fact, you want others to thrive as well. So let's get out of a survival duality, black and white consciousness, and see how they're both sides of the same coin, and that they're supposed to be working together. Two puzzle pieces that are supposed to fit together for a reason. Perfect fit. It's a perfect fit for each other because, well, it fills in the gaps of what, you know. And you could correlate that to sexual anatomy. You could, you know, the yin and yang symbol. I mean, I could go on for hours about that. About how the connections happen and the patterns that we see across reality. But anyway, I'm just fed up because it's kind of unconscious and a little bit silly and kind of ridiculous at this point. And it's like, oh, this again, oh, this again, oh, this again, oh, this, oh wait, maybe it's different this time. Oh wait, no, it's the same thing again. Can somebody please meet me up here? Because I'm tired of dropping down to your level to try to teach you something. Not that I'm some special fucking guy that knows everything, but damn, relativity. You know? relative. It's relative. There could be somebody else that would inspire and change my behavior and my mindset. That's what I'm looking for in life. But oftentimes, I have to become the teacher and I have to grow up and do the right thing. When can I be the irresponsible one and have fun and let go and just be like, fuck it? But then if I do that, I make a fool out of myself and then I'm just a joke. But I have to make a joke out of myself in order to make other people aware that we can all do this for each other if we're just honest and we laugh about it. Because it's fucking hilarious. And I could go on and on about all the jokes that I've made that go right over people's heads. But that'll be for another video. Anyways, that's why I'm fed up right now. So let me know if you feel the same.